if there were 5 sites that were significant to the historicity and perhaps the contemporary context of Galle Fort, what would they be, and what should those of us who have visited the Galle Fort, perhaps the first time or even a numerous time, go and perhaps look over in the next few days to remind ourselves as to what the Galle Fort encompasses now?
Well, for me, obviously, the ramparts. I think the ramparts were the great single object that was built and is put there. And the ramparts in all its glory, I think in many ways beautifully restored recently, with all the sort of spaces that were inside the walls that have now been opened up. And I haven't been to them myself lately, but it was a project that started a few years ago when I myself was head of the Heritage Foundation. And that was a great job. And I think the ramparts themselves is something that will always be in my memory as well. As a child coming to Galle, that's the image, the grass, the stone, and that I think is quite important. Of the other monuments, I think what really cannot change would be perhaps the cinnamon warehouse. That's the object that probably the reason for colonizing. The Dutch came here for the cinnamon, and so it becomes the object of our colonization, the reason we were colonized in the first place, the trade of cinnamon. I would think the Black Fort, yes, very simply because that's the oldest part of the fort. And I think it's an extraordinary piece of architecture if you can push the police to open the gate and walk up there. I did see some people going in today, but it's well worth a visit out there. I think those are the 3 most important bits and pieces. I think everything else, even the Aman Galle, it's the old officers' quarters, that's quite significant, and the church. I think everything else would change and could change. But if these disappear, I guess the intricate character of the let's say the physical character of the fort would disappear. So I would, if everything goes, that's what I would sort of fight to really protect.
You alluded to this at the beginning when you answered the first question. So if I am to ask on the matter of migration that's taking place within the fort due to economic pressures, tourist-related activities, and perhaps the conservation or the need to conserve buildings across this space, what is it that Galle Fort is to gain or lose? Because in the midst of it, there is so much taking place.
Are you asking me that question?
Yes, Channa.
Should there be rules?
Should there be a framework set in a place of historicity like this when there is so much going on? There is a lot of...
I think there are very clear frameworks that have been set. We should have the political courage to implement them. It's not like, sometimes it's unfair. The public get the impression that everything that's going wrong is because there are really bad sort of administrators. Yes, there are bad administrators, but there's also a lot of political, because where there is money, there's always some kind of influence that comes in, and unfortunately, if we don't have the political will, you can't implement them. There are some really great rules that are part of the fort. Everyone's trying to break them, it appears, and some people get away with it. So I wouldn't say there need to be more rules. I think in a place like this, you need to have less rules. Very simple things like, what is it that we really want? We want to have the character of the streets. So perhaps all you need to say is, nothing on the facade can change. But we also need to know that people live here. Things have to change. So you need more space. You want to have a restaurant. And rules must allow for that. I sometimes feel the rules may be a little bit too draconian. It's just implementing rules in an enlightened way that will get us somewhere.